All right, I'm going to go ahead and start today's Alameda County Local Agency Formation Commission. Please, it is 2:00 on Thursday, July 11th. Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Faria.
Here.
Commissioner Hobart. Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Marchand.
For the record, it's good to be back here.
Commissioner Miley. Commissioner Splendorio.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Tam, absent. Alternate Commissioner Von Heater Leopold.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Warner. Let the record reflect, roll call has been taken and we have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Our next agenda item is agenda item 3. It's public comment. It's an opportunity for the public to speak on items that are not listed on this agenda, yet are still within the responsibility and purview of Alameda County LAFCO. I do not have any speaker cards, so I'm going to close agenda item 3 and move on to agenda item 4, which is consent for the approval of minutes of May 9th, a regular meeting.
I'll move consent. I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Faria.
Stay.
Commissioner Hobart. Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Marchand.
Aye.
Commissioner Miley. Commissioner Splendorio.
Aye.
Giant fruit. We do have one.
Let the record reflect, the motion passes.
All right, thank you. Agenda item 5 is the reorganization, excuse me, the potential reorganization of SMP 39 and 40 to the city of Livermore. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Chair, thank you. The City of Livermore requests the annexation and sphere amendment for approximately 105.4 acres of unincorporated territory to establish municipal services for an industrial park. The proposal includes 6 parcels, with the largest parcels identified as SMP 39 and 40 for previous surface mining permits. The purpose and scope of the proposal is the development of 1.5 million square feet of industrial buildings, including warehouses, distribution centers, research and development facilities, administrative offices, laboratories, and light manufacturing. Annexation will provide essential services such as police, fire protection, water, wastewater, flood control, stormwater, street lighting, maintenance, and library services. The affected territory is located adjacent to the existing Oak Business Park in northwestern corner of Livermore. The affected territory also lies west of Isabel Avenue, State Route 84, north of Stanley Boulevard, south of West Jack London Boulevard, and east of El Trado Road. The affected territory has been pre-zoned as planned development for SMP 39 and 40 for low-intensity industrial development, and the remaining 4 parcels are pre-zoned as open space floodplain for preservation of open space and protection of natural attributes. Now, there are a few policy considerations for the Commission. The first being the sphere amendment of SMP 39, which staff finds is justified and supported by the parcel line immediately adjacent to the city's existing industrial zone and includes subject lands responsive to the city's existing infrastructure and economic needs of the area. It also lies within the city's urban growth boundary. Secondly, amending the city sphere to include SMP 39 would maintain the Commission's preference to match developed or developing lands to urban services. Now, as for the timing of the proposed reorganization of the affected territory, it appears sufficient given the planning consistency, service need, and agency capacity considerations, which is further highlighted in Appendix B of the accompanying staff report. Now, staff did identify one potential amendment to the proposal that involves expanding the sphere to include one additional unincorporated parcel immediately west of the affected territory, totaling around 111 acres, and that is known as SMP 38. However, staff does not recommend proceeding with the reference alternative boundary amendment at this time, given that SMP 38 also falls within the City of Pleasanton sphere, and there are no development plans for that parcel at this time. As for the environmental impact report, or the impact, the city serves as the lead agency under CEQA, and an environmental impact report identified significant and unavoidable impacts due to the conversion of prime agricultural land. Despite these impacts, the project addresses the city's need for additional land and is justified by the lack of alternative sites. Staff independently concurs with the city that it has made the appropriate determinations, but recommended as a term and condition, the city must adopt a statement of overriding considerations for the conversion of prime agricultural land. Now, you can find a copy of this statement actually on the dais, and particularly you can reference page 12, and we find that the one number 3 particularly relates to LAFCO, but that is for your review and consideration. So for now, this item is for the commission to consider approving with or without modifications the applicant's submitted reorganization proposal and sphere amendment of the affected territory to the City of Livermore. The commission may also consider applying conditions to an approval, so as long as it does not directly regulate land use, property development, or subdivision requirements. Staff recommends the commission adopt the draft resolution identified as Attachment 1. Staff will return the item to the chair for commission discussion and to open the public hearing. Please note that City of Livermore staff is also here to answer any questions the commission may have.
I'll add that the recommendation from staff is to condition approval on the city's adoption of a statement of overriding considerations, but as a responsible agency, the commission needs to adopt its own statement. It could adopt part or all of the city's statement of overriding considerations as its own, but there does need to be a statement of overriding considerations adopted due to the presence of identified significant and unavoidable environmental effects.
Okay, all right. I know we normally go to questions. I'm going to, since this is actually I would believe, legislative decision on behalf of this board, I'm going to just remind board members of page 4 of our agenda, which is the disclosure of business or campaign contributions. Within the last 12 months, this is a fairly new law, Government Code 84308, that if in the last 12 months, the commission has received $250 or more in business or campaign contributions from an applicant, an agent of the applicant, or any financial interested party who actively supports or opposes a decision of this matter, this would be a time for you to state so and potentially recuse yourself from this decision process. We don't normally, most of these meetings are advisory, so I want to make sure that's made public. I also would like
I would like to disclose something.
Okay.
It doesn't fit within the definitions, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I actually represented Overturn Moore for a short period of time, but it's like I said, it was, I know it was pre-COVID.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for disclosing that. I'd also like to ask staff, there was a letter, maybe Alameda County LAFCO was not a member of or a carbon copy on this, but it was from the City of Pleasanton to the city manager of Livermore stating that the City of Pleasanton supports a transfer for a removal of our sphere of influence for 2 parcels only, SMP 39 and 40. And that was a public meeting on March 19th, and it was a 3-2 vote. So I just want to add that to your information. Do you have any questions of staff?
So I have questions. I can either ask them of staff or if Livermore staff might be, but whatever you prefer.
Oh, I do have one public speaker.
Go there and that's fine.
Okay, and then maybe they may answer your
Yep,
question.
exactly.
Who knows?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I have one public speaker. It's Mr. Jason Lindsay, and he is from Ironworks Local 378. Welcome. Welcome, sir.
Right, thank you. Is this on? Or do I have to
Yes,
turn
it
it
sure
on?
is. Mm.
All right. So good afternoon. My name is Jason Lindsay. I'm the president and business agent for Ironworkers Local 378. I'm here representing my union, as well as electricians, plumbers, sprinkler fitters, and sheet metal workers. Our members live in and around the Tri-Valley area, and I'm in support of this project. We're in support of this project. SMP 39 and 40 will create economic development by developing land that was once envisioned for gravel quarries and not business parks. SMP 40 will provide good union construction jobs that pay livable wages and benefits, creating pathways to the middle class for area youth. This project will additionally provide expansion opportunities for businesses that want to grow in Livermore and Alameda County. And additionally, the project will provide a bike trail that will remove bicyclists and other pedestrians from a state highway. It's for these reasons that we are asking for your approval. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. That is my only public comment card. Would anybody from the city of Livermore, Pleasanton, or whomever wish to speak at this time?
We have,
I don't have a card.
we have 3 speakers that I have received a card for. The first speaker in the audience, Mr. Brandon Phillips. You have 3 minutes to speak, sir.
In our city council meeting, the mayor asks for the speaker, so different format. Welcome, sir.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Brandon Phillips, and I'm a field representative for the NorCal Carpenters Union, Local 713 in Alameda County. I represent approximately 4,000 members throughout Alameda County and 1,300 members who specifically reside in the Tri-Valley area. The Carpenters Union is here today in full support of Overton Moore's proposed SMP 39 and 40 project in the city of Livermore. The SMP 39 and 40 project will create economic development by creating land that was once envisioned for gravel quarries and no business parks. This project will provide good paying wages, benefits with union construction jobs. It will also provide expansion opportunities for businesses that want to grow in Livermore and Alameda County. During construction, this project will create many jobs for both our members and our signatory contractors. The majority of this project will be built with union labor through the Northern California Carpenters Union. Overton Moore Properties is a great example of a developer that takes pride in their work, and we're proud to stand by them today. Being a part of the NorCal Carpenters Union, we strive on these core values: local hire, apprenticeship, and healthcare. If you love to work with your hands and have pride in your work or are interested in starting a new career without any student debt, then the apprenticeship will give any individual the knowledge and skills needed to earn good wages and benefits. Everyone deserves to have medical coverage. The lack of having stable healthcare is a main factor that keeps workers away from the industry, and then that leads to labor shortages. In California, the cost of living has soared. Creating hundreds of well-paying jobs will be significant for those of us in the trades. Once the building is complete, there will be hundreds of new permanent jobs required to operate it. In conclusion, the NorCal Carpenters Union fully supports this project because projects like this help elevate the quality of life for the hardworking men and women who build every day. So let's get this passed and start building. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Timothy Cooper from Lamb Research be our next speaker. Welcome, sir.
Hello, thank you, Commissioner, for allowing me to speak on behalf of Lamb Research. I'm the Managing Director for Lamb Research's North America manufacturing operations. We have factories currently here in Livermore for about the past 10 years, as well as we have operations in the Fremont area, as well as up in the Oregon area. I've been with the company now for a little bit over 6 years. And the S&P Project 39 is really a strategic project for the company as we really look to position ourselves for the market growth that's ahead of us. Actually, this project at this point is running a little bit behind our timeline and that we're now starting to see us coming out of a business cycle, a down business cycle into an up business cycle. Just to give you a little bit more background around what the company does, we actually make the equipment that makes the computer chips that creates the technology that touches every one of your lives multiple times a day. So it's extremely important that we have the right infrastructure to help the industry continue to grow as we see really an accelerated growth over the next 5 years. If you've watched any of the news and you see some of the things that the federal government's doing around positioning the country to be strong in semiconductor, this project is a key element to our position in that space. So I want to thank the teams that have helped put together the proposals. Obviously, this project is in an area that crosses multiple boundaries, and it's important to go through this process. So I appreciate the time all of you have applied to reviewing that information and look forward to seeing your approval for the project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. So Mr. Kelly Lynch from Overton Moore Properties is our next speaker. Oh, Miss Kelly, excuse me. Excuse me, Miss Kelly Lynch from Overton Moore Properties. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much to the commission. My name is Kelly Lynch. I am Vice President with Overton Moore Properties. I oversee our Northern California operations. And Overton Moore is the applicant and developer, obviously, for SMP 39 and 40 that you are considering today. We obviously ask for your support of this project. Our company has been working with the city of Livermore, entitling these projects since 2019. When complete, SMP 39 and 40 will provide multiple economic benefits to the area, high-paying union jobs, and benefits during construction. It will take idle land that could have been used for gravel quarries, and this will convert into business parks where businesses within the Tri-Valley can expand. Some of our economic benefits include providing the opportunity for local businesses to expand into Alameda County. As an example, Lamb Research. We'll be providing a bike trail connection over SR 84. We'll be dedicating land for the widening of Jack London Boulevard into 4 lanes along SMP 39 and providing street improvements when SMP 39 is under development. And then it will also provide a significant increase in property taxes when the projects are fully built out. We really appreciate your consideration and hope that you can recommend on approving this project and for the city of Livermore. Thank you.
Can I ask one question, please?
Sure. Before
you sit down. Is there any concerns about, it sounds like you've been working on it since 2019. If this decision is extended for any reason, would that be a negative impact to you?
It could be as far as working with Lamb and meeting their timeline for the completion of the project. Yes.
Could have a negative impact. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
And maybe this is a question not necessarily for Kelly, but probably more for the city of Livermore. Just a question on the status of the Arroyo Mocho. I've known a lot about the history, the alignment of the Arroyo Mocho through these properties has been all over the place. So what's the current thinking of the alignment of the Arroyo Mocho?
As far as the what? I'm so sorry.
The alignment for the Arroyo Mocho?
The river.
Oh, I think that's probably going to be more of a city of Livermore question.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would a representative from Livermore please approach?
Hello,
Thank you.
everyone. My name is Ashley Vera. I'm with the City of Livermore. As far as the alignment of the MOCHO, that will not change as part of this project. S&P 40 in particular, there's a portion to the south of the S&P 40 property that is not included as part of this proposal to create and really maintain that buffer that exists around the MOCHO. And then along the eastern side of S&P 40, where the Arroyo traverses upward, there will be a new pedestrian and bicycle trail along that section, but that is adequately buffered and really set back from the Arroyo MOCHO.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you stay there? I do have a member that's got his hand raised. I'm not sure if this is for the city of Livermore or not. Let's find out. Supervisor Halbert, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, comment, and can you hear me? Hello?
Please, yes. Yeah, any comments, questions?
Yeah, no, first of all, comment, very much in support of this project. It is progress for our communities. Lamb Research is a darling in the industry. Thank you for being in person at the meeting today. All of the folks that will work on and benefit from this project. This is great. Two things that I have questions and comments about. The first one is that years ago there was the cities of Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin, and Alameda County all entered into an agreement to support the local transportation infrastructure plan that would allow the Tri-Valley to alleviate congestion. There were three projects. I think it was 84, the extension of Stone Ridge, including the 4 lanes that were referenced earlier by Lamb Research dedicating the land, and also the extension of Dublin Boulevard to meet into the city of Livermore. I'd like to understand all of these projects are referenced in that document. They're inextricably linked in my mind to a transportation plan that comes with funding from ACTC and other sources as well. But have the cities recently, and as part of this, if we take this decision, this is another step along those lines, have they reaffirmed or recommitted to abide by that agreement? Again, it was signed, I think, by 4 parties, the county and the 3 cities. I'm willing to support, but need to see that they're all committed to that document from, I think, 2010. That's the first question I have.
So I'm Paul Spence. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Livermore. And I can confirm that we have been working cooperatively with the City of Dublin on the extension of Dublin Boulevard to North Canyons Parkway. That is a project that's in process that the city has supported, that we have some MOUs in place supporting. And then in terms of Jack London Boulevard itself, this project will allow for the widening of Jack London Boulevard along the frontage of SMP 39. And then we do have hopes in the future of expanding it through SMP 38 as well when that property is developed. We've looked at recent traffic count numbers. We're at about half of capacity, even with this project. And we looked at accident volumes. We're about half of the state standard or state threshold for roadways of this type and this speed. So in terms of that roadway, it's doing very well right now, but we certainly are planning over time to expand it partially with this project and then partially with the development of SMP 38.
Great, excellent. The other question I have also for Livermore, Paul, if you can stay, I know that there is a desire by Livermore to have a buffer zone between its city boundaries and neighboring cities. Does this project affect that at all? Are you considering a buffer zone to be the quarries, or how are you I guess reconciling with that policy? If you could explain, I would appreciate it.
Sure. We do have some policies in our existing general plan They're largely focused on the north side of the freeway. We have scenic corridor policies and some open space policies that talk about views of the hills and scenic corridor views of the hills. So those don't apply as much to the south, and the development that we would be pursuing is relatively far away from the freeway and would not be within scenic view lines or scenic view sheds. We are actually working with the city of Dublin. We had a meeting this morning, actually, and we're working cooperatively on the area around Doolin Canyon and having conversations about how some scenic view sheds and space might be able to be preserved there. I think that's been a good ongoing dialogue. And then on the south side, you are correct, sir, that the quarries will provide some additional open areas, and obviously that'll be turned into the chain of lakes in the future as that mining is done and they're turned over to water storage in the future. So that does provide some buffer as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll take that at value. This project is a good one. I'm in support of it, but I'll want to learn more about those policies as we move to future projects. So thank you so much for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Comments? Yes.
First, can I? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. On the statement of overriding considerations, so you're saying Livermore has not approved that, so we need to condition that Livermore's council, is that, just explain to me.
Yes, so sorry, at the time of the staff report, I didn't realize that the city already had a statement of overriding considerations. So for this one, based on legal counsel, LAFCO as a responsible agency will need to have our own statement of overriding considerations. And they can be along the same lines that the city has, or we can add additional points or factors that we like to include.
Okay, I thought I heard you say that Livermore needed to condition upon, I was confused by that. So it's just LAFCO has to include in our motion that we're adopting, whether it's Livermore's or some other statement of overriding consideration. Okay,
correct.
I'm clear about that. All right, thank you. And then I also want, and I know this is a question I raised previously, but I want to just be clear because I understand that the project was challenged on a couple of different parties on CEQA, but we at LAFCO, we can, and I don't even know what happened to those, if they're resolved or not resolved, but regardless, we can move forward even though they may be under challenge in court. Is that correct?
That is correct. Both parties did reach a settlement agreement, but under Public Resources Code, excuse me, I'm just pulling it up right now because I don't know it off the top of my head. But under Public Resources Code, let's see. One second. Thank you. 21167-3B. LAFCOs, we are required to, as a responsible agency, follow the CEQA findings and determinations, regardless if there's litigation or pending litigation.
All right. Thank you. So then maybe I should say this. I'm going to give.
Oh, I
still have go ahead.
I still have the public open. I just was making sure questions were asked.
Well, yeah, I have some questions really about Jack London Boulevard, and I don't know if Paul or Ashley, you'd like to. I just have a few more questions about it. I'm going to have a fairly lengthy statement afterwards, but I'm very pleased that Jack London is going to be expanded to 4 lanes, at least in front of SMP 39. And I mean, there's a history here. I'm just warning you all. I'm going to talk about a history because I was here and Supervisor Miley was here when a lot of this cooperation that Supervisor Halbert mentioned. And I want to go over that history, but I'm so happy that at least, I mean, I wish it had happened earlier because I know that this had been planned by the city of Livermore to expand Jack London. So, Mr. Spence, there are plans for Jack London to expand to 4 lanes, the rest of the way to connect to Stone Ridge. And I understand we have to wait for the owner of SMP 38 to be willing to have it developed, but are there plans?
Yes, sir, there are. So we will expand in front of SMP 39, as was mentioned, and we have future plans to expand all the way to Livermore Outlets Drive on the far side of the bridge.
Great. And I know that includes trails and separated bike lanes, I think. Is that
yes,
correct?
It includes trails, bike lane facilities for alternate access through that area as well. Yes, sir.
And I guess this question really is, the Livermore has plans, and I know it's going to stay in Pleasanton. SMP 38 will stay in Pleasant for now, and obviously SMP 39 was, and if we approve it, it'll go into Livermore's not only sphere but also into its city boundaries. Has there been a discussion? I mean, I don't care how Jack London is expanded to 4 lanes. I mean, who does it? I just hope it happens. Has there been discussions with Pleasant, if Pleasant does come before us and says, we have ideas, we have plans, we want, have you been talking, do they have their own plans? Are they different than what Livermore has? I just don't want, I want us to be ready in case the owner of the property says, okay, good, I want to sell this, or I want to develop, that we're ready for it. That's really my concern is.
So I can share, the property owner has told us they're evaluating that property. They don't have any immediate plans for it. Livermore was interested, but Pleasanton expressed some interest and concern on their own side, interest in knowing before they really had a thorough discussion on the sphere exactly what might be proposed there, what kind of traffic impacts might be associated with that. And based on that feedback, Livermore agreed just to pursue 39. And so 38 is pending. I can tell you, we looked up some traffic numbers, and for a roadway of that type, the capacity is 2,800 vehicle trips per hour. In our morning and PM peaks right now, we are at 655 trips in the morning, 957 in the PM peak. So less than half of the capacity of the roadway in terms of vehicle trips. We looked at collision impacts in that area, and we're seeing a rate of 0.63 collisions per million vehicle miles. The average across the state for this type of roadway is 1.24 collisions, and so we're less than half there as well. So we don't see an immediate need, but certainly there is a long-term plan.
Yeah, so, and the reason, yeah, and I understand that, but I mean, luckily in the position that we're in, you know, we try to think for the future, and I understand, but today may be flowing just well, but that's not what I worry about. I worry about, as you'll hear me say, we started planning this almost 20 years ago. I worry about the next 20 years. And that's why I just want to know if that property owner decides, do we have plans? Are we ready? And final question is, at least this part of the road in front of SMP 39 is paid through by developer, or is he impact fees? The city's going to do it, or how's that going to work?
So the plan is the developer would make those improvements. Any improvements on the north side that were needed that the city has to work through, we would do that through TIF fees.
Okay.
And when we get to that point, if the property owner says they're interested in developing SMP 38, we certainly would talk with the city of Pleasanton and see what makes the most sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Just as if the city of Pleasanton and the developer wished to develop it.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily be.
It wouldn't necessarily be the city of Livermore. It might be the city of Pleasanton.
Could be,
right.
Or it could be the county. Who knows?
Right.
Okay. Done with questions?
I'm done with questions. Yeah, then I'll have some statements afterwards.
Okay, terrific. All right, I have one more speaker on this agenda item, and that's Mr. Kelly Abreu. Welcome, Kelly. This time it's a Mr. Kelly. He's a regular speaker. That's where I'm kind of going with it. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So we're very much in the realm of planning ahead for the next century or the next millennium here. In the theoretical scenario that Dublin wants to expand eastward towards Livermore on the north side of 580 and along the Dublin extend the road. And there's this concept of the urban growth boundary, the open space boundary in between there. Notice that they immediately flew off into talking about other urban space boundaries, south of the freeway, on Mars, I don't know. But specifically there, that's purely a theoretical open space boundary because it depends on Measure D. And if the county has its way and if LAFCO has its way, Measure D will evaporate there. The spheres of influence will merge. Dublin will expand as far eastward as possible, and it will then be up to Dublin to do whatever open space they want. And there is no such thing as an open space boundary in the mindset of Dublin. Absolutely not, especially not next to a freeway, not next to important and profitable development opportunities. Then let's see. Now, when we're making these decisions, there's a thing, and you guys all are in the public sphere sector, so you may not have heard of this, but there's a thing called interlocking directorates, and they're legal, but they raise questions about board independence. The concentration of power allows executives and board members and people holding political office to exert unified political economic power. And here we have the perfect example of that, where the former mayor of Dublin is on this committee, where the mayor of Dublin is on this committee, but I don't see him here. Anyway, I hope he comes, the current mayor of Dublin. And we've had people working, full-time employees of other LAFCO commissioners, full-time employees voting here. And we all know that those votes are independent, don't we? Those votes are going to be independent here, where people exercise, and they're thinking about the next 20 years. Well, if you're at 1/3 of the road capacity, 1/3 of the road capacity, according to the engineer that we just heard, the expert, we should start building now, just like we build parking lots at the East Dublin, Pleasanton BART station. We're building that for the next millennium, maybe, because that thing, BART is running at 40% capacity. So we are very much here in this dream world of urban growth boundaries that don't exist, of interlocking directorates, but it's okay because we claim that this commission somehow can exercise independent votes. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. It's my last speaker, unless anybody else has a speaker card. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to close the public hearing in this case and bring it back for questions of staff or comments. Any questions of staff? And did we lose Supervisor Halbert?
No, he's still present on there.
Okay, good. All right. Because I can't see if he has a hand up.
I did.
Okay. If he does, would you please let us know? Any comments? All right, sir, you're up.
Well, okay, thank you. And I'm sorry this is going to be a little long, and I'm going to tell you why. And just thank you for indulging me. But and I'm going to go back to I've been on LAFCO since 2006. And I'll tell you the reason I was asked to apply was by Mayor Pamina of Livermore and Supervisor Haggerty, because there had been an ongoing issue with circulation, and I can read a little bit about that, but and there was some discourse between the cities, the three Tri-Valley cities in the county, and both of them said you might be able to help with that. And at the time, I was in the middle of working for the outlet developer and trying to get that built. And I knew that Pleasanton had ideas about what is now the Pearl and a couple of car dealerships, and Dublin had its own ideas, and the county had its own ideas. And the idea was that, and maybe I can synthesize it quickly, was Pleasanton was very concerned, its residents were extremely concerned about cut-through traffic. And they didn't feel that the other cities in the county were supportive at MTC and building Highway 84 through. And of course, the cities, of course, saw the opportunity with some business serving real estate that was, it turned out, and I'll mention that, it turned out to be quite advantageous for the cities. And they reached a compromise. And I think Supervisor Halbert mentioned it, and I have that agreement that basically said that the cities and the county would support each other. And the end result of that is, we see how, I mean, it probably takes longer than it should, but Highway 84 is getting built. And someday when John and I are far older, it'll be finished. I would hope.
I approved that, by the way.
Yeah.
ACTC.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, and then we've seen Jack London was built, the outlets were built, a couple of their shopping centers were built, and I know that Livermore has, to the consternation of probably a couple of their cities, has enjoyed quite a bit of sales tax benefit from those developed. But then Pleasanton has gotten the Pearl, which is one of my favorite shopping centers to go to. I really like it, and a couple of car dealerships, like I mentioned, and a bunch of new residents in Stone Ridge Creek. So it's been beneficial, and of course, Highway 84 is, someday it'll be a 4-lane highway and make it a lot easier for folks to get around into Silicon Valley and the like. So I see it, and it just takes time, and that's I think the message that I learned, and I was asked by Mayor Kamina and Supervisor Haggerty, was to stay the course. It'll take time. We knew that development was the only way to really pay for a lot of these improvements, and just be patient, take time, stay at it. And I did promise them. In fact, I called Mayor Kamina this morning, and I told him I'm going to use his name in a good way, that he inspired me to stay the course. And so I guess I'm getting a little nostalgic. When I finally saw this project was finally going to come to us, I know it's a little piece, it's SMP 39, but at least at some point it'll be built and Jack London will be expanded. And I note that of all the, like I said, if I may read part of the agreement, that Pleasanton promised to build Stone Ridge, and it was built, and it was built to 4 lanes. And there was a piece in Dublin where it was, I think, from Tassajara to Fallon, I can't remember, that was eventually built. And I see this as, the vision was that Jack London would be 4 lanes. And at some point, at least if this property, SMP 39 is developed, and hopefully SMP 38 will come eventually, we'll fulfill the agreement. And again, I'm very pleased by that, and I'm very supportive of the project. But I just, like I said, I've been a little bit nostalgic thinking about it, because the reason I started here 18 years ago was to help that circulation, or see that agreement come to fruition. And I feel satisfied a little bit. I mean, it's a piece. I mean, it's little steps. And I think that's very satisfying to me, extremely satisfying to me, that it just finally came around. Now, so I want to go through some things that I just want to make a record, because I think sometimes people don't understand what we do here. And I'm going to start with a story. I'm going to read you actually the legislative intent of what's called the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg, which is what we live by. And I had the pleasure, I guess it's a pleasure, in 22 and 23, actually working with Senator Hertzberg on a project. He's a wonderful person. And I was able to talk to him at length about this act. And I've been a part of Cal LAFCO, which is our statewide organization, and I never met him. And I said, Senator Hertzberg, what are we supposed to be doing? He says, Glenn, read the legislative intent. I wrote that. Okay, so I'm going to read it, and I'm not going to give any too much commentary. But he said the legislature finds and declares that it is the policy of the state to encourage orderly growth and development, which are essential to the social, fiscal, and economic well-being of the state. The legislature recognized that the logical formation and determination of local agency boundaries is an important factor in promoting orderly development and in the balancing that development with sometimes competing state interests of discouraging urban sprawl, preserving open space and prime agricultural lands, and efficiently extending government services. The legislature also recognized that providing housing for persons and families of all income is an important factor in promoting orderly development. Furthermore, the legislature further finds and declares that this policy should be affected by the logical formation and modification of the boundaries of local agencies, with a preference granted to accommodating additional growth within or through the expansion of the boundaries of these local agencies, which can best accommodate and provide necessary governmental services and housing for persons and families of all income in the most efficient manner feasible. And that's, and the reason I want to read that is because, well, I know it's Lamb Research and you're a great company and you're going to provide jobs and opportunities for a lot of people. And I think that it resonates. This statement of legislative intent resonates with it. That's part of our job, is to keep our infrastructure strong, to keep our economy strong, to keep the well-being and the public welfare in good shape. And that's why I wanted to read that, because Senator Hertzberg encouraged me to read it. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And the other thing I wanted to say was, this is between Livermore and Pleasanton, was 6 years ago, we had, oh God, this is technical, geeky LAFCO stuff, but we had a sphere of influence update. And it came to us and it had a recommendation both on the Livermore side and the Pleasanton side to do something that was called an overlapping sphere of influence. And from my perspective, I couldn't understand how Pleasanton would ever service SMP 38 and 39. But the property owner at the time said, oh, no, I want to stay in Pleasanton sphere. And oh, all right, fine. So be it. We didn't do anything. And I just wanted to point that out to you. And that's why I asked the questions of Mr. Spence was, I don't care how the road is built to 4 lanes. I just want to make sure it's in one city and that we've planned for it. And I just wanted to tell you that, that I think in a couple of months, we are going to get our next round of sphere influences. And I'm probably going to raise the issue again. And I would hope that, I'm glad Livermore has a plan, but I hope Pleasanton has a plan. I would hope they come and talk to us and say, yeah, we do have a plan, or we've talked to Livermore. We love their plan. If we get to develop, I just want to know that and hear that. Because again, I want to plan for the future. Okay, so let me read to you what Supervisor Halbert, because it's important. The funny thing is I had to search for this and I found it through a friend. And it's called a policy statement by the County of Alameda and the cities of Dublin, Livermore, and Pleasanton regarding transportation priorities and commitments in the Tri-Valley. And I don't know if folks, I actually went around and asked, it's signed by Mayor Sabrante of Dublin. He kind of remembered it. Mayor Comita remembered it. I didn't talk to Jennifer Hosterman. I did not. I don't know if Jennifer remembers it or not. And Alice Bitker signed it for the county. And I imagine Supervisor Haggerty had a lot. But it's the way I remember Mayor Comita and Supervisor Haggerty kind of encouraging me, like, keep this as your guidepost. And this is the only issue, but it was the reason I'm here. And so I do want to read a little bit. If I'm sorry to bore you all, but it's important to me.
Not boring.
So this is
those of us anyway. I don't know about the audience.
Yeah, you guys can just leave and go have cookies. But
could have brought more snacks.
Yeah. So the Tri-Valley segment of the IFA, and this is right from it's called the policy statement. And it's signed by, like I said, all the 3 mayors and the Board of Supervisors. And the Tri-Valley segment of the I-580 corridor in eastern Alameda County is one of the most heavily traveled highways in the entire 9-county Bay Area region. It's chronically congested condition in Alameda County, second only to the I-80 approach to the San Francisco Bay Bridge. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which is the planning, funding, coordinating transportation agency for the Regency, projects a 90% increase in traffic coming over the Altamont by the year 2030. Interstate 580 also serves as a major corridor for goods movement to and from the Port of Oakland between the Central Valley and the rest of the state and the nation. Container activity at this point is projected to increase 3-fold by 2030. Then it says, in response to the existing and projected need for expanded and enhanced transportation infrastructure in the Tri-Valley, the Alameda County Congestion Management Agency, CMA, in conjunction with the cities of Dublin, Livermore, Pleasanton, Alameda County, Caltrans, and ACTI, which is now called ACTC.
Well, CMA doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, CMA doesn't exist.
So they combined to form ACTC.
Okay, ACT. Develop
ACTIA and CMA.
Thank you, John. Developed a long-range regional strategy for planning improvements that include I-580, I-680, and State Route 84 corridors. The strategy is documented in the Tri-Valley triangle study and was adopted by the CMA board in 2007. And so then it goes through a history of what I explained about Pleasanton and Livermore and Dublin and the county. And then it says, recognizing the need for coordinated planning effort at the local and regional level and collective benefits to the Tri-Valleys of region, the Tri-Valley cities and county hereby support the following phased approach to local transportation priorities in the Tri-Valley. Phase 1 consists of the following arterial connections: Dublin Boulevard from its current eastern terminus to Fallon Road as a 4-lane roadway, Jack London Boulevard between Isabel and El Charro Road as a 2-lane highway, 4 lanes at the intersection of El Charro and Isabel, and Stone Ridge Drive from its current eastern terminus to El Charro Road as a 2-lane roadway with 4 lanes at the intersection of El Charro. That's phase 1. And that all happened. Phase 2. And a reminder, the reason for all this was so all the other cities would support Pleasanton and getting Highway 84 built. That was the phase 2 consists of the following arterial connections: Dublin Boulevard from Fallon Road to North Canyons Parkway as a 4-lane roadway, and North Canyons Parkway to its current eastern terminus to Dublin Boulevard as a 4-lane roadway. In addition to these new arterial connections, the following roadways will be widened: Dublin Boulevard to Tassajaro from Tassajaro Road to Fallon to a 6-lane roadway, Jack London to a 4-lane roadway, and Stone Ridge Drive to a 4-lane roadway. And then it finishes with respect to these 4 arterials, each agency may choose to open the roadway prior to the other arterials. However, it is the intent of this agreement to have the local parallel arterial systems within each agency to open at the same time for each phase. Well, we know that didn't happen. But in phase 2, we know that Stone Ridge was improved. We know now we hear that Jack London is going to be widened for 4 lanes, and hopefully the rest will come soon. So with that, and then I'll finish with the construction of the phase 1 improvements in Pleasanton. Each member agency will support, and this has to do with Site 84, and that happened also. So I will ask John, the mayor of Livermore, to make the motion, which I would love to second if you're so inclined to approve this. If not, I'll make it.
Okay, so to make the motion to adopt the draft resolution identified as attachment 1 and 2, approving the reorganization proposal and sphere amendment of the affected territory to the city of Livermore, with an additional term and condition that the city of Livermore shall adopt a statement of overriding considerations for the conversion of prime agricultural land, which it isn't really. But other than that, the land's going to be taken away as a quarry is the alternative. So I will make that motion.
And I would love to second it.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's zoned agriculture. That's why it's referred to as agriculture. Nobody's growing plants on those rocks.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the history. I'll just comment. Thank you for the history. And as I recall at the time, there was a lot of conflicts between the 3 cities.
Correct.
And this joint agreement helped move things forward. Perhaps it's time to do an update on the agreement. There was no comments about what we're talking about today in that agreement, such as changing spheres of influences and zoning land in or outside of city limits. So, but still the intent was very true and forward thinking. And as you stated, almost all of those did move forward. So we have a motion made and seconded. Thank you very much for both of your motion.
And if the agreement was a surprise to you, I had made copies for people. So come and ask me and I'll give them to you.
It's very dusty because it's very
old binder.
long time ago. But those are sometimes things that need to be updated too as we move forward. Any other comments? Okay, could we
I would again recommend that your commission adopt its own statement of overriding considerations. I think the staff explanation was that at the time the staff report was written, including the recommendation appearing in the staff report, staff was unaware that the city had already adopted its own statement of overriding considerations. That having been done and the EIR having identified significant and unavoidable environmental impacts, your commission needs to adopt its own statement of overriding consideration.
I'll amend my motion to include the adoption of the overriding statement consideration.
Adopting the city statement as LAFCO's own.
Yes.
And I'll second that amendment.
Second the friendly amendment.
Yep.
And then since I don't see any other comments, I'm going to just toss one out, which is in our general plan for the city. I'm here today as a representative from Alameda County Mayor's Conference, but as a representative of the city of Pleasanton as well, put on that hat. In our general plan, it discusses urban separators and this urban separator between the two cities and perhaps even three cities, because we've got a freeway between us and the city of Dublin. We take that very seriously. So in the goal of moving things forward for transportation, it's also balanced with urban separators. And that's very important. As I said, it's very clearly stated in our city's general plan, and it's very important to our community. All right. Okay, so with that, could we take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chair. Chair Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Faria,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobart,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Marchand,
Yes.
Commissioner Miley,
Yes.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you all that have attended as well as those who spoke. Looks like you're positive and moving forward with some history in your pocket. Okay. All right. Agenda item 6 is the authorization to execute alternate legal counsel contracts. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So staff recommends the commission authorize the executive officer to execute an agreement with Best and Krieger for a 1-year period and in an amount not exceeding $60,000 for as needed alternative legal services during the negotiation process with our new memorandum of understanding with the County of Alameda for contract services. Staff would like to modify a statement in the staff report, and that is that there's no conflict of interest with current legal counsel for the MOU negotiations. This being that staff recommends the commission hired outside counsel, which is Best and Krieger, to assist and supplement current legal support in negotiations. Under this arrangement, the commission can determine the role of outside counsel and current legal counsel during that negotiation process. So staff recommends approval of the contract agreement with the distinction that no conflict of interest exists with current legal counsel for the MOU negotiations and the approval of that contract with Best and Krieger. So with that, I'll return the item to the chair for any questions, comments, or discussion.
Okay. Would you have any comments about with the subgroup? I know.
Well, I mean, the subcommittee has reviewed this, and we looked at the proposal from Best and Krieger, and they have a lot of experience in working with LAFCOs to be independent. And I think that's really what we intend to do, is look at pros and cons of being independent. They're probably best suited to do that. I think they'll work well with Andrew in coming to a conclusion and guiding us into what's the right thing to do. So.
Okay. Any questions of staff? I've got one speaker card. All right, Mr. Abreu, would you like to speak on agenda item 16? Excuse me, agenda item 6.
Yes, your agenda just got a lot longer.
Yeah, 16, we're going to have to extend the meeting.
So alternate legal counsel during the negotiation process for a new memorandum of understanding, which is not a needed alternate legal counsel, but is being hired anyway for alternate purposes, which are not exactly clearly defined on the paper, but we just heard some fuzzy reference to the future needs. But obviously this is true and legally sound and forward thinking, the need for alternate legal counsel. Now, why is that? Because, this commission, you depend on Alameda County for what? You depend on them for, office space, for staff headcount, for IT services. Remember when you had a limit of about 27 words for communications on the website from the public comments on your website? That was the county IT. That's essential supplies. Everything you depend on the county. So we're living again. It's the fictional concept of the Chinese wall inside our heads between people who are elected to represent a city or a county, and then when they come here, magically they represent a LAFCO. So we have LAFCO is you know, I don't know if any of you have been here longer than 2006, but you know, there's a lot of you know, things going on that are not on your phones, not on your cell phones, not on your text messages, that are, you know, disputes between cities, boundary disputes, and this kind of stuff. And then when that happens, LAFCO is supposed to be, you know, mediating these disputes. And when that happens, and what does that happen? What does that have to do with anything? You have the LAFCO Council, as of right now, right this moment, apparently has not exactly independent of the county, because their business card says county council. And so, you know, I think there's a need not just for independent counsel in case LAFCO wants to be independent, but there's a need for independent counsel like all the time on probably half the stuff you look at needs an independent counsel, needs people who are not looking at their phones during the meetings, but are here paying attention during the meetings. It needs, you know, this concept, LAFCO's entire basis for existence is so ridden with logical and factual and mental and psychological problems, self conflicts, you know, conflicting ideas of independence, but, oh, I'm the mayor of whatever city. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. That's my only speaker card. I'll close the public comment period. And any other discussions, especially from those subcommittee members?
I will mention that in past, we have hired conflict counsel, I guess, lack of a better word. So this is not unusual in any way. Just we've done it in the past.
Okay. All right. So I would, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had one comment. This is on with respect to dealing with the county on the contract. So I just want to say, I think Andrew's done a great job in what we've done so far. And I think getting the extension without the any changes was a good job. So I think that going forward in negotiating with the county, Andrew should be involved. And I think that I'm fully in support of of Andrew plus outside counsel. So I think that's the right thing. And I just wanted to publicly thank Andrew for what he's done so far, which I think was very, very helpful.
It's more a supplement to an existing council or with the MOU, of course, clarifying details. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
So I'll move the item.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote, please? Especially if we have, yes, we still have a remote member.
Chair Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Faria,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobart,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Marchand.
Aye.
Commissioner Miley,
Yes.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Did you? Oh, yes.
Thank you, sir.
It's you.
There's only one Splendor.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't.
Let the record reflect.
Let's skip ahead to the next item.
The motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Agenda item 7, Cal LAFCO's annual conference and achievement award nominations. Staff?
Thank you, Chair. Cal LAFCO will host the annual conference scheduled for October 16th through the 18th at the Tenaya Lodge in outside of Yosemite. Overall, staff recommends the commission appoint a voting and alternate voting delegate for the 2024 Cal LAFCO Annual Conference and advise staff on any nominations for the Cal LAFCO Achievement Awards or Cal LAFCO Board of Directors for county or special district seats.
Okay. Do we have any interest in attending the October 16th through 18th Cal LAFCO event?
So I'll be attending.
Oh, terrific.
I indicated April that I'd be attending too.
Wine tasting.
So will you 3? So I've got 3. And I believe today's date, we need to appoint.
A voting and alternate delegate.
You're the next year's chair. Would you like to?
I nominate Ralph.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we need an alternate.
I nominate Georgine.
Georgine is our alternate. Okay, this group is so easy to work with.
Right.
It's you next on the even years and odd years. Okay, I understand. Okay, so we have 3 attendees. One will be our voting member and the other will be our alternate. And so is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, and we have a motion made
Mhm.
and seconded. So I guess we're ready for a vote.
Sure. Chair Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Faria,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobart,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Marchand,
Yes.
Commissioner Miley,
Yes.
Commissioner Splendoria.
Aye.
Let the record reflect, the motion passes.
All right, thank you. And thank you, the 3 of you for attending on our behalf, representing Alameda County LAFCO. We have matters initiated by members of the commission. Any matters initiated for future agendas? Seeing none, we may just have some light meetings in the future. Okay, executive officer report. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair Brown. I'll just highlight that the Alameda County Community Development Agency approved the First Amendment of the MOU extension between LAFCO and the county for 6 months, and then 6 one-month extensions until June 30th of next year. And just a report that was included in the executive officer report of the University of California, Berkeley Division of Agriculture and Natural Resources published their own report titled LAFCO and Water System Consolidation, Bridging the Gap Between Local and State Regulators to Stop and Reverse Water System Fragmentation. LAFCO is currently different LAFCOs within the state are currently working with the authors of that report to figure out how to provide recommendations and to improve coordination and water quality through consolidation efforts and MSRs. So if you didn't read it, check out that report and I'll provide progress updates as we figure out those recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Informational items?
No, nothing substantial to report out. If you would like to attend the Cal LAFCO Annual Conference, please contact either me or April for that information.
Terrific. Okay. We have a few future meetings. Policy and Budget Committee meetings will be held Thursday, August 1st at 2 p.m. here at Dublin City Hall. And then our next regular meeting, which will be September 12th at 2 p.m. With that, seeing no other comments, this meeting is adjourned.